Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Southwest Flavor. Happy 1st of July. Today we are speaking with Amanda Wiggins of the Marana Chamber of Commerce. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm excited to be here. Today is July 1st, and it is the first day of the Marana Chamber of Commerce fiscal year for our calendar.
Okay. Well, good.
Yes.
Well, thank you for spending that first morning of the fiscal year with us.
I'm excited.
Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit about what you have here in front of us.
So thanks for the opportunity to share more. This is our Dine and Discover Marana program. So this is our third year doing it, and this is in partnership with Discover Marana.
Okay.
We reached out about 3 years ago to our board of directors, and we noticed our community had a want and a need for more restaurants.
Yeah.
We wanted more restaurants in Marana. So there was a few different things that the chamber was working on. And one of them, I reached out to our board of directors and I said, we actually don't have a lot of members in our chamber that are restaurants either.
Okay. Right.
And so if you know about independently operated restaurants and a lot of different restaurants, the owners are in their business every single day. And so to join a organization that they see as a networking organization, which it is, but it's not only, right? They didn't have the bandwidth to be able to invest in that.
Of course.
Was kind of what we were seeing. So I came to the board of directors and I said, hey, so we want to show more value to our restaurants. We want to help our restaurants that are currently in our community. How can the chamber play a role of this? And I told them everything that I just shared with you is that the perception is they can't get away from the business and that they're really in it and what would bring value to them. So the board had a couple things that they thought of, and one of the things was gamification. So why don't we entice and make this a game, right? And so it was just landing into, we had probably 5 months before summer. And so then it kind of got down to, okay, why don't we make this a challenge and we do it during the summer because we know that that's when our restaurants and our community most need the support, right? It's a challenging time for all businesses in the summer, but especially our restaurants.
Especially the restaurants, definitely. Yeah. Anyone that can escape Tucson during the summer heat and the monsoons, they do.
Right, they do. And many of us will do it for short trips and a couple weeks here, but there's a lot of other weeks that we could really intentionally support our local businesses, right? Definitely. And so I had the idea, but we needed to think about, how we were going to really take this across the finish line. So I approached Discover Marana, Stephanie Bowe, and shared, and she shared that there was some programming that would align perfectly that they do that would make them a great partner for this.
Right.
And so we did that, and that was 3 years ago. So the first year, a great success. We ran out of items. So the idea, let me tell you a little bit more about, I guess, the program. So what it is it's a challenge card, and there's 3 blank spots. There's 4 blank spots on there for you to support 4 restaurants, eateries, food trucks. It's very, very open. We just want our culinary experiences to be supported during the summer. And then there's a spot for you to get a server initial next to that. Okay. And so then once you bring that in, you'll come to the Marana Chamber of Commerce and the Marana Visitor Information Center, and you get to pick any item from our merch collection that you would like for free.
Oh, very cool.
So we have 3 different hat designs and 4 different t-shirt designs. And so the hats have a swallow on the front, and then on the back it says Marana AZ. 3 different designs for that. And then our shirts as well say Marana on them. So exciting. And there's a lot of different things that come out of this. One of the other things that we wanted was our restaurants to be supported, for them to enjoy it, but also to share some Marana pride among our community.
Sure.
And so that's what these items are intentionally designed to do, is to spread that, I'm really proud to be here in Marana and some of that identity of place.
That's wonderful. And I see a QR code on the back of the card. What is that for?
Yeah, so we have a scan for more information here. And what we have is a restaurant list.
Ah, perfect.
So we're always updating that.
Okay.
And so if you know of one that's not on there, please tell us. We'll update it. And then we're able to share, because we want to honor the investment that our chamber members who are restaurants have done. When we have a chamber member, they have their logo associated with their listing on that. And it's been really fun.
It's a great thing to do, especially, just from the name of it, the Discover Marana. You get to discover some different restaurants. Maybe you didn't even know they existed, or you haven't been in there for a long time for whatever reason. Maybe it's just a little further out than where you normally travel. So this is a great program just to go discover Marana, discover some restaurants, help support them, make sure that we all survive together.
Yeah, it has been so much fun. We get to hear and have relationships and interactions with the folks that are completing the challenge. Because the other point of it was to get people inside the Marana Chamber of Commerce building. So this program, I'm so excited. I know I'm talking fast and telling you all about it, but it's really just because it's one of those that we feel like we've hit it out of the park, and it helps support our businesses so much. The other side is getting people into the Marana Chamber of Commerce building.
Yeah.
Because as you know, all of our members are able to put their business cards and their brochures at the chamber.
Right.
So they might come in because they went to 4 restaurants and are getting a shirt, but they might need a service that one of our members provide.
Right.
And that is how we've been connecting. So
very nice.
Yeah, we've had just such a great reception and stories. So some people who, they're foodies, they eat all the time. They know where they're going. They're filling those out and doing it. Then we have people who are really challenging themselves to try something new, something they've never heard of. And, and we've had such good stories of that happening with that as well.
Right. That's the thing. Most people, they'll find a restaurant they like, and then they'll start ordering the same thing every time they go there. I'm guilty of that.
Same.
Yeah. But it's fun to go explore. Explore maybe a different kind of food, or just try a different dish that you haven't tried before.
Exactly. And, in our community, we've had some new, treat spots and ice cream spots. Scrumdiddly up and Dove Mountain open, so it's really just such a neat time. We've got Jeremiah's Italian Ice, and, it's just some really neat restaurants that maybe it's not dinner, but it's a treat, or it's, something that you can enjoy during the middle of the day, or a coffee shop or something like that.
Right.
Al Gusto Coffee Company is a big supporter of this. He's always sharing this. And actually, I just saw on Facebook that he's doing it himself. So he was at Old Pothole
I did see that,
in the Outlet Mall, which is another local restaurant. And they do smash burgers, and they have the best chicken sandwiches there. Local owned, started as a food truck.
Very nice.
Now has a brick and mortar in the Outlet Mall food court. So I'd really challenge anyone who hasn't been to the food court. There's 2 locally owned, started as food trucks, now have brick and mortars, restaurants in there.
Right. Let's talk a little bit about how important it is to stay in Marana, to spend your money in Marana. I mean, a lot of us live in the area. I live right outside of Marana. I live between Marana and Oro Valley.
Wonderful spot, isn't it?
So I get to enjoy both venues.
Yeah.
But we definitely, we want to keep our money local here, and we want to try to spend our money with local establishments and just keep the money in the area.
Absolutely. I think when people find out I work for the Marana Chamber of Commerce and they're not super familiar, they think that I'm, in charge of recruiting businesses to the area. And while our mission is to be a place that businesses want to come to, at this time, that's not a piece of what the Marana Chamber does. If anyone wants to have conversations, and I get to live here, so I personally am always telling people to come here, but that's a little bit Amanda, the resident, has. And then I get to tie in some of my chamber work. But when people find out that I, am involved in the community, they say, we need more restaurants. We need more restaurants. The only way to get more restaurants is to support the ones that we have.
That's true, yeah.
And so if other restaurants are watching, because it is such an investment, and it's oftentimes doesn't work out for restaurant owners.
Right.
I've heard so many statistics of, how and that secret sauce of when it works out. And it's years before they find out if they have a viable business.
Right.
Which can mean a lot of investment beforehand, right? Yeah. And so when restaurateurs see a restaurant go out of business, that's kind of a sign.
They have to question it. Why?
Right. Why?
Yeah. What's going on? Was it just something with the food or the management?
Exactly.
Or was it the location? Mm-hmm. Was there just not enough traffic there?
Yeah. Or is it that the community isn't coming to support and show up, right? Right. If the community doesn't have, they might say they have the appetite, but are they truly supporting some? And it's neat to, get to challenge yourself, because there's some really great local restaurants that, maybe you have something in mind and you forget that we've got those. So it's been really neat. We were at Catalina Brewing the other day, and there was a mother and father and an older son that was a family together, and they had the cups. That means they wash your cup at the bar, and I don't know exactly.
They're members
right?
At the
is that
bar.
how?
Yeah,
okay, I just could tell because they all had the cups, and it was like, oh, you go here. This is your spot. And so I said, oh, look at those cups, how wonderful. And they said, yeah, and they're like, this is what we love, supporting local. That's what we do. We as a family, we spend our time together, and we go out to support restaurants. And I said, they weren't here. They weren't there for our event. I said, I've got some cards for you guys. And they were like all the time. And then they pulled out the Marana, I believe it's like the Marana Beer Club or Brewery Club or something.
Oh, yeah.
There's a membership organization. They're like, we've got this. So I'd love to connect with some folks in that area to help to promote this, because we've got some really great local breweries in Marana.
We do.
Some spots that are really wonderful. So Button Brew is right next to Catalina.
Yep.
So a really neat spot there. But so it's fun to get to see what people are doing with this program.
Right. With that, let's take a quick sponsor break. We will be back in just a couple minutes with Southwest Flavor.
In Marana, community isn't just where we live, it's who we are. And at the heart of it all is the Marana Chamber of Commerce. We are building a thriving community through connected business leadership. We start the month bright and early with Marana Mornings, sparking real conversations and connections. We celebrate growing networks at our 4th Tuesday mixers, hosted in exciting spaces. We unite visionaries and leaders at Impact Marana, driving meaningful progress together. We look ahead with Marana Insights, hearing directly from regional voices about what's next for our town. And we serve, through the passion of our board of directors and ambassadors, creating a culture of belonging through service and leadership. Because of our members, we're not just doing more, we're becoming more. Together, we're shaping the future of Marana. We are the Marana Chamber of Commerce.
Looking for a delicious meal or a place to cater your next event? Visit Tucson Tamale Market, located at 7286 North Oracle Road. They're a family-friendly restaurant and market offering authentic tamales and local products. Don't miss their summer bi-weekly specials. Try a new $10.99 meal special every couple weeks. Planning a special event? They've expanded their catering menu and are offering 15% off all catering orders through May 31st. Just use the code GRAD25 at checkout.
Shipping packages is a facet of modern commerce. At Tucson Pack and Ship, we work with major delivery companies to make sure your goods get where they need to go. In addition to shipping, we also offer private mailboxes, notary services, and document shredding. We'll also safely pack your valuable items. Tucson Pack and Ship, Tucson's one-stop packing and shipping source.
It's It's July and we're celebrating Independence Day all month. Picture Rocks Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing wants to buy your old air conditioning unit. For the month of July, we will buy back your old AC unit for $1,776 with the purchase and installation of a new air conditioning system. Picture Rocks Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing, keeping you cool all summer long. Call us at 520-492-0748 or picturerockscooling.com.
Picture Rocks Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing.
Therapeutic Ranch for Animals and Kids is an inclusive community empowered and united by the strength of the human-animal bond.
It taught me responsibility. It taught me kindness and social interaction.
We have programs for every member of our community.
I love track because I have 2 daughters. We come out here and get all of our energy out.
Track is my home away from home.
You can make a donation or even become a monthly donor.
Thank you for supporting Track, Tucson's Ranch. We hope to see you here soon.
If you ever have water damage or mold, your only call should be to Steamy Concepts.
Yeah, but what if the insurance company says to hire someone else?
Nope, Steamy Concepts works for you and not them.
The internet has tons of options.
No way, you don't gamble with water damage.
But the handyman knows a different guy.
Absolutely not. No way, you just call Steamy Concepts today.
But some companies are cheaper.
And you get what you pay for. You don't want to mess with water damage wannabes.
We're calling Steamy Concepts today.
We are back. We're talking with Amanda Wiggins with Marana Chamber of Commerce. So can you tell the people what the specifications are on this program? There's a timeline and then where to find the information?
Yeah, so maranachamber.com.
Okay.
We have it right on our front page, so you can click there. You can pick up one of the challenge cards. We have them at some local restaurants. They're at the Blacktop Grill, Dominic's Real Italian, Twin Peaks Pizzeria. We've got them at the station. I'm going to get in trouble naming, but we've got them at a lot of local spots in our community. Jeremiah's Italian Ice and a few others. So you can get them at some restaurants, or you can come to the Marana Chamber of Commerce to our building.
Okay.
We also bring them to all of our events during the month.
Okay.
So if you're a Marana Chamber member, we're going to have them at our Marana Mornings, which is next week on Wednesday, July 9th. So we're going to have a lot of them there. So you can pick them up to get them. You can also just download the graphic and print it and do it that way too. So we want it to be easy for people. We've also had folks that have taken a screenshot, filled it out that way, and then we get to print it and do that. So
creative.
So the first component, step 1, is to complete the card. Mm-hmm. So 4 restaurants in Marana, and we've got a buffer around Marana of some chamber members that, Dominic's Real Italian's not technically in town limits, but it is right outside. Okay. And some others with Omni and some other just outskirts there. So those all are included, Marana Chamber members that are just right outside the town limits. And then you get your server to initial. That's wonderful because it shows the restaurant that you are there,
that you're participating in that program,
and it shows the value for them. So we love that. We get servers and folks in the industry that aren't familiar with it, and that's okay. You get to be one of our ambassadors and share that with them. If for some reason you're not able to get it initialed, it's okay. We really trust the people that are taking the step to do that. So just bring it in. Then you turn it in at the Marana Chamber of Commerce building, and then you win one of these merchandise items. And so it goes from, we launched on June 11th. So our goal is to be able to go from June 11th to August 11th.
Okay.
But it is until supplies last.
Okay.
So we are currently not out of any of our items. I think we're out on a couple sizes for one, or one size for one, but we've got all sizes currently. But that's not going to last long. Right. Because when I brought this merchandise, I was starting to look, okay, we're down to a few items here. Because these tan hats are very popular. Our blue shirts are very popular. So, but we do right now have plenty of merchandise and plenty of support for that.
So get it done.
Get it done. That's your challenge to, fill it out quickly. two more things that I'm thinking.
Okay.
One is a neat thing we're able to do after is we record all of this.
Okay.
So we know, number one, what restaurants and businesses were supported through this.
Right.
What we see is that the ones that promote this tend to do better.
Sure, of
right?
course.
If the restaurants are promoting it themselves,
Right.
They get to see a higher impact in visits.
Yeah.
Then we know that no matter where they went, from ice cream to a restaurant, they've at least spent $20.
Mm-hmm.
Many times much more than that.
Right.
So then we can make an economic impact from this
Sure, you have
program
some
as well.
real-hand data. Yeah.
Exactly. Some really good data from this. So that's been wonderful to get to see those outcomes from it. And then, MaranaChamber.com is where you can go to get that. We're excited to be in year 3. The other component is that we've worked with our local restaurants to align them with local influencers and foodie type social media accounts. Right. And so we've had a lot of really great success and fun working with those people in our community who have a real passion to support our restaurants. So we get them a little PR package together and send them out and match them out in our community too. So that's another way that we help and promote this. And their impact has been so great, and we're so grateful for them as well.
Very good.
To do
Very
that.
good. Well, thank you, Amanda, so much for coming in.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Thank you for giving me a chance. The Marana Chamber of Commerce does a whole lot of things, has a lot of programs. I'm so grateful for your support and involvement and your team. This is just one that is unique that I was excited you gave me the opportunity to highlight today, Ron.
Well, thank you. Thank you for being on.
Absolutely.
All right. We will be back in just a couple minutes with Southwest Flavor.
In Marana, community isn't just where we live, it's who we are. And at the heart of it all is the Marana Chamber of Commerce. We are building a thriving community through connected business leadership. We start the month bright and early with Marana Mornings, sparking real conversations and connections. We celebrate growing networks at our 4th Tuesday mixers, hosted in exciting spaces. We unite visionaries and leaders at Impact Marana, driving meaningful progress together. We look ahead with Marana Insights, hearing directly from regional voices about what's next for our town. And we serve, through the passion of our board of directors and ambassadors, creating a culture of belonging through service and leadership. Because of our members, we're not just doing more, we're becoming more. Together, we're shaping the future of Marana. We are the Marana Chamber of Commerce.
Looking for a delicious meal or a place to cater your next event? Visit Tucson Tamale Market, located at 7286 North Oracle Road. They're a family-friendly restaurant and market offering authentic tamales and local products. Don't miss their summer bi-weekly specials. Try a new $10.99 meal special every couple weeks. Planning a special event? They've expanded their catering menu and are offering 15% off all catering orders through May 31st. Just use the code GRAD25 at checkout.
Shipping packages is a facet of modern commerce. At Tucson Pack and Ship, we work with major delivery companies to make sure your goods get where they need to go. In addition to shipping, we also offer private mailboxes, notary services, and document shredding. We'll also safely pack your valuable items. Tucson Pack and Ship, Tucson's one-stop packing and shipping source.
It's July and we're celebrating Independence Day all month. Picture Rocks Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing wants to buy your old air conditioning unit. For the month of July, we will buy back your old AC unit for $1,776 with the purchase and installation of a new air conditioning system. Picture Rocks Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing, keeping you cool all summer long. Call us at 520-492-0748 or picturerockspooling.com.
Picture Rocks Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing.
therapeutic ranch for animals and kids is an inclusive community empowered and united by the strength of the human-animal bond.
It taught me responsibility. It taught me kindness and social interaction.
We have programs for every member of our community.
I love track because I have 2 daughters. We come out here and get all of our energy out.
Track is my home away from home.
You can make a donation or even become a monthly donor.
Thank you for supporting Track, Tucson's Ranch. We hope to see you here soon.
If you ever have water damage or mold, your only call should be to Steamy Concepts.
Yeah, but what if the insurance company says to hire someone else?
Nope, Steamy Concepts works for you and not them.
The internet has tons of options.
No way, you don't gamble with water damage.
But the handyman knows a different guy.
Absolutely not. No way, you just call Steamy Concepts today.
But some companies are cheaper.
And you get what you pay for. You don't want to mess with water damage wannabes.
We're calling Steamy Concepts today.
All right, welcome back to Southwest Flavor. Our next guest is Reggie Geary, who played U of A basketball a couple years ago.
Yeah, it was a few.
Yeah. But you know a little bit about basketball and stuff.
I do. You know, as you mentioned, I was a basketball player at the U of A.
Yeah.
Was on one of Lute Olson's teams in the 90s, so I was at the U of A between 1992 and 96. Originally from Southern California, or I should say, grew up in Southern California.
Okay.
And so got recruited out of Mater Dei High School, came to Arizona, and been in basketball pretty much my whole life, or at least in athletics. So it's been a good run.
Yeah. Mater Dei, it's a big football school too, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's funny you say that. It is an excellent football school.
Yeah.
Bruce Rawlinson, who just retired maybe 2 years ago, did a fantastic job. Had probably been there about 40 years. It's kind of funny you say that, though, because me being a basketball guy, it's had a great basketball tradition here. Obviously, Gary McKnight, my high school coach, he's been up for the Naismith Hall of Fame for the last couple times. We're hoping he gets in, obviously, because you're looking at an individual who's been there since the 1980s.
Oh,
and
wow.
Still doing it till today.
Yeah.
You're talking about the impact he's had and just the amount of games he's won. I think he's second in the nation. And so I'm a big proponent, as you can see. I'm trying to get my guy in.
Right, of course.
But Mater Dei High School was a real deal changer for me.
Yeah.
Just in terms of, I was going to a different high school. Just by circumstances, ended up at Mater Dei, and it really was a great experience. It was a national program that played a national schedule, and so I was exposed to a lot of things. And so, I met my wife there. So Mater Dei is a big part of kind of my life story.
Very cool.
But yeah, it's football school, basketball school. It's just an excellent in all areas.
Yeah, and then take us a little bit through the recruiting process.
Yeah, and so it's interesting. Back in the 90s, or at least the late 80s, you would get letters in the mail. You would get letters in the mail, and they would trickle in, and they were just kind of introductory letters, and also questionnaires. Kind of fill out the questionnaire, and you would send it back. But it was a big deal.
Right.
And
did you actually have to send like a VHS tape?
No. So I went to a lot of camps.
Okay.
So I played.
So they had tape of you from camps?
There might have been, like, back then it was boots on the ground. Like, you literally had to get. Assistant coaches would have to be in gyms, and there was a lot of pamphlets. There was a magazine called Blue Chips, which was kind of it was the gospel for high school sports. That it went around the nation. You couldn't see anybody, so this was the only way you would hear about anybody. Oh man, I would hear about this guy in New York City. Oh, I heard about this team, but it was just through these small magazines you get monthly, and so it was kind of a very cool thing. And if you ever got your name in, it was a big thing. Oh, I went to this tournament in Vegas, and they saw me. And so, and there were some services out there. There was 3 or 4 services that were some guys that were nationally known, and people would follow them. And so, through a little bit of seeing you, through these pamphlets and these guys, you now get a little heat, and then you start getting some letters. And so, and the great thing at Mater Dei was they had mailboxes, and so you come to your mailbox every day, and it was a big thing. So and so that kind of started my recruitment, and the more letters started coming in. The longer I played. And and that kind of just took off from there. And I was highly recruited coming out. I looked at a lot of UCLA and Villanova and Arizona, and I was a top 50 player. But Arizona was just the right fit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell us about, like Lute Olson coming to your house, talking to your parents.
Yeah.
Like what did he tell your parents?
Yeah, and so he came. Actually came. We went to Coach McKnight's house. And so Coach was like, hey, let's have Coach over at the house. And so it was me and my father, Coach, and Jesse Evans. Jesse Evans was one of Coach Olson's assistants. Became a longtime head coach afterwards. So they came to Coach's house, and I remember first thing coming in when Coach walked in, how big he was. Like Lute Olson, Coach Olson he's 6'6". It's a big man, right? And obviously he has a great presence. So when he comes in, he just takes over the room. But I'm like, this is a big guy.
Yeah.
And so he's kind of intimidating that way, but he couldn't have been better. It was a great visit. He said all the right things. They really had shown appreciation, had followed me around, and Coach Evans and I had a great relationship. And so it was a very comfortable and a good visit. And that wasn't always the case. I've had some other visits with some other schools that, once the door closed, my dad was like, we're not going there.
Oh, wow.
And so visits are important, and Coach was, of course, Hall of Fame at that as well.
Yeah. And then you come over from Southern Cal to Arizona, to Tucson. Had you ever been to Tucson before?
So I had been once before. I came the summer before. I actually came out to camp. So, I came out to camp. Once again, they were recruiting me. I knew there was a lot of interest there. My high school coach said, hey, is there a camp you would like to go to? And so Arizona was one of the camps. I went to Nike camp. I went to some of the national camps as well. And so I had a little taste of Tucson and the heat. I came in the summer, so I wasn't too scared too much. But yeah, so I've been once before.
And then as a young man coming over here as a freshman, were you ready? Were you ready to leave home? Were you ready for college life?
Yeah, I was ready. Yeah. Just growing up in Southern California, you were used
to traveling with the traveling teams.
I was already on national teams. Modern Day, once again, had prepared me. I had played. I was the guy on the team, in Southern California, in LA. We played in the state championship. We were nationally known. Every gym we went to was packed. I was used to playing in front of thousands of people already, honestly. Like at a high school game, we'd have 4,000 or 5,000 every night. And so that never really intimidated me. I always played hard anyway. So it seemed to work out well for me. So I was kind of ready for it. Modern Day was a real good kind of high school. It's a perfect high school education, teach me for this next stage. And now I get to college. And Coach Olson's reinforcement of what I just learned at Modern Day was great, because now I came into a system that was very similar to my high school system.
Okay.
And so I'm comfortable on the court. He's valuing me and kind of what I do.
Right.
He's like, okay, he plays hard. He's got good basketball IQ.
He's pretty tough, though, right?
He's tough. Yeah, he's tough in a fair way. Like he's not a screamer and a cusser, Coach Olson.
Right.
But he's tough and he's fair. But in the manner he does it, it's just very cool. And he just does an excellent job just in terms of communicating one-on-one with individuals.
Yeah.
So I came in and I was just very comfortable day one, and so it was a smooth transition. For me from high school to Arizona. I was very fortunate for that.
Very cool. And then, so what was it like as a young man and you were the guy, and then you come in and you're a freshman, on a team that's successful.
Yeah, very successful.
So you're not necessarily the guy at that point.
Yeah, no, it's funny because when I was high school, I went to Arizona UCLA game, and so I saw that Matt Othick and Matt Muehlbach and Brian Williams, Sean Rooks, Chris Mills, and I'm looking at the court like, these are grown men out here. So I knew I was stepping into something pretty big.
Right.
And then I get here, and it's the same way. There's just a lot of guys Damon Stoudemire is only a sophomore at this point.
Oh, wow.
He's a future lottery pick. Clinton Reeves, Chris Mills is still on the team, an All-American. He's going to play 15 years in the NBA.
Right.
Ed Stokes plays in the NBA. Like I ended up playing with 12 guys, and so it can be an intimidating situation. But we're young. I'm 18. I'm thinking I'm an alpha, so I'm coming in the room. But at the same time, I'm definitely am listening and learning. I'm trying. Chris Mills was a great mentor to me.
Oh wow. Okay.
I'd met Chris before, so in the summer before going into college, I had played in the Sano, and that was the big LA league where all the LA guys would come back from LA or from around the world, or nation, and would play in the summer league. And so I was on Chris's team. I think he set that up. So I'm on Chris's team, and from there I got to meet his dad Claude, and I have a really good relationship. So that was another thing that just helped my transition coming to Arizona.
Okay. Very good. So you had those mentors, you had those older guys that were bring you in, help you with the transition.
Exactly. And when you're going through, you're not really thinking, oh, this guy's my mentor. You just these are people who are looking out, and so and Chris ended up being the two of us became teammates in the NBA as well. So we had this relationship from high school all the way to the NBA.
Oh wow. That's cool, because I'm sure it's not always the case. Where you get onto a team and you're a freshman and these older guys are there, and maybe they think you're a threat, to the playing time, or they just don't want to teach you?
No, it's a competitive environment.
Yeah.
It's never lost, but we always have a lot of love for each other in Arizona.
Yeah.
That was one of the great things. We competed every day. I compete every single day, but I do it in a manner where I'm not trying to be dirty or, so I think it was that healthy competitiveness, and not every team has that, but I never, and sometimes it does, maybe it spills over a little bit, but that's just part of the natural process, but it corrects itself. But every day we competed because we had to, you have to keep it on. I get to Arizona, as I have Damon and Khalid in front of me and Chris Mills, and I come in with Corey Williams, who was an All-American in high school, and Joe McClain. And as we get older now, I look back and I have Miles Simon and Michael Dickerson, Chase Terry. So you're always bookended by a lot of good basketball players. That's what makes the program so special, and why you have to compete so hard.
Right. But I think that environment of you guys all helping each other was just something that Lute Olson put together. He was special that way.
Really much so. No, I think that's a great point. When I it doesn't happen. It happens. It doesn't happen as much now. But guys used to come back during the summer. Yeah. So even after my freshman year, I come into the gym. There'd be Steve Kerr, be Brian Williams, Tom Tolbert. Sean Elliott would come back. Right. And then they were telling, and then they would sharing their stories about their time with coach. And so we had that connectivity that from one generation to the next that really make it felt like a brotherhood. And so that was cool. And so we wanted to continue that tradition. And we do it in a different way now. But when the guys came back like that, it made it cool.
All right. And then after you played for Lute and your college career was over, where'd you go from there?
Yeah, so after 4 years with Lute, I was a 3-year starter. I think we went to the Final Four in '94, so I had a great college career. I ended up getting drafted in the second round of the NBA by the Cleveland Cavaliers. Right. And so, started my pro career off right in the NBA, and that was a great experience. Played for Mike Fratello. Once again, Chris Mills was on the team, so I got that familiar face. Right. And I meet Bobby Fields and Danny Ferry. There was just so many great guys. Terrell Brandon, who was an NBA All-Star that year. So now I'm having this experience going from big time high school to Arizona, now to the NBA. Right. And
how was that transition?
That transition was probably a little bit tougher just because the NBA, it's an elite level. Right. For me, fortunately, from a basketball IQ and from an athleticism standpoint, I could compete at that level. I just didn't really have the confidence, probably offensively as much as I needed to be successful. And so that would come. But at that time, I was just I want to fit in, see if I can, just play hard, just do what I've always done. Sure. And that worked out well. Fratello respected that. I got off to a good start. I got hurt in the beginning of my rookie year. Kind of slowed my progression down a little bit, but still, overall, I was blessed to get drafted and be in the NBA.
Oh yeah, definitely. And then where'd you go from there?
So I went from Cleveland to the next following year. I went to San Antonio. So now I'm with Craig Popovich, RC Beaver's the GM. Another really good stroke here because just a great organization, first class in every way. Still are to this day. Yeah. Known for that. And so now I'm in Popovich's camp. Had to go into that camp, make the team. Kind of had to slug my way in, and there's another Arizona Wildcat. Sean Elliott's on the team. Right. All right. And so now Sean and I are there, and we get a friendship going. I ended up playing a lot that year, almost about 1,000 minutes. I'm starting some games, so nice. I'm on the court with Jordan. So all these things are materializing, and kind of all these dreams are coming true, and I'm playing well, and things are going good. And so San Antonio was a great experience. My wife and I we enjoyed San Antonio. We enjoyed being in the city, just like we did in Cleveland. Just taking it in that way. So once again, just surrounded by really good people. It's Tim Duncan's rookie year. David Robinson's there. I'm with the Admiral. So Hall of Famers, right there in 4 and 5 man Hall of Famers. Avery Johnson becomes an NBA champion. He's a future head coach. Vinny Del Negro, future head coach. Yep. So really intelligent team, hardworking guys, very professional in terms of how they go about their business. So I got a chance to experience that and be around them, and it was a great experience.
Very cool. Did you have any interesting interactions with Jordan?
Man, that's a good question. Great question. So the first time I played against Jordan, I'll go back to Cleveland for a second. Okay. First time I see Jordan, we're in Cleveland, and I get in the game, and first of all, I get in the game, and Scottie Pippen picks me up full court, and I'm already kind of processing this as a rookie, like that's Scottie Pippen, like this is kind of cool, and so the game goes on, and at one point I end up guarding Jordan. Okay. And I always had this. I always told my guys, I'm a defensive guy. When I see Michael Jordan, I'm going to see what's up and this, that, and the other. And so I always tell the story that, Jordan's got the basketball, and I'm just like all into him, I'm excited. Yeah. And I always imagine him just looking down like another rookie, like another one. Here we go. Yeah. So he makes his little move, and he goes up and he shoots it. And when he shoots it, I kind of hit him on his arm. I just got to touch him. I just fouled him. Yep. So I fouled him. Jordan makes the shot. All right, yeah, he makes the shot. The buzzer goes off. I'm playing for Mike Fratello, the czar, right? He doesn't play with rooks. So he pulls me out of the game. And so Scottie Pippen was like, well, at least you got your name in the book. So it was kind of a funny thing. So my first one did not go well.
Okay.
I played against him about 6 times. It went better later. And so even in San Antonio, I had a really good game against them.
Oh, cool.
And so, yeah, so it was a great experience. But I always still show my son the tapes of Jordan of just like, this was the greatest. Like, just from a mental standpoint, from a physical standpoint.
Oh, yeah. He was so intense.
He was so intense.
He was.
He really was.
Focused,
and,
just that laser focus.
Yeah. I know the documentary they did for the Bulls, like the 6-parter that just came out. Incredible. And you can just see the toll it took on him and how hard it was to live that lifestyle. So I appreciated seeing that.
Yeah. Yeah. He was always, I mean, I wasn't there, but they always said he was like the first one in, last one out. He was laser focused.
Laser focused, yeah. Like, so people think about Kobe Bryant and that Mamba mentality. Well, Kobe, he learned that from watching Jordan, observing him, saying, how did he do it? And, it takes a toll, but, it's definitely greatness.
Yeah. And it's something that you can always tell your team, whether it's a sports team or a business team, that Jordan, and there's a lot of guys that were like that. Jordan, Kobe, Jerry Rice, they cared about all the small things, like shooting free throws or, doing your, running your routes or whatever it is in your sport. They care about those small things. And that just leads to greatness in the big things.
Most definitely. It gives you, they're so intense about their details, about their footwork, about, how they're going about their business, studying the game, watching the film. Yeah. And so, and doing it longer and harder than you are. Jordan always has that story where he would arrive an hour before everybody at practice. Yeah. Before he would arrive, he would shoot for 45 minutes, go run into the locker room, take a shower, put his clothes on and act like he just got there. Right. And he figured if he did this 45 minutes every day for 5 days, he's now worked 2.5 hours, say, longer than his teammates. Yeah. And so it's just that mentality of just always trying to not one husbandship, but just working harder. Sure. To go along with those details and just kind of that just that mentality.
Yeah. And I think once you're on top, I mean, there's only one way to go, and that's back down. So you have to do everything you can to maintain, being up there on top.
Yeah,
and that's incredible pressure.
Incredible pressure, and you can see why you have to really work on the balance. You have to figure out that balance because it can tip over, and consume you. And we see it all the time in athletics. We see it in the business world. We see it in everything. And so just finding that balance, but it's very tough. Like I say, you're on top. Things are going well. You're feeling good. You feel that you have to do things to maintain, being on top like that. But at what price? And so you saw in that Jordan documentary, he paid a price. He paid a price, and others do as well.
Yep. Let's take a quick sponsor break. We'll be back in just a couple minutes with Southwest Flavor.
In Marana, community isn't just where we live, it's who we are. And at the heart of it all is the Marana Chamber of Commerce. We are building a thriving community through connected business leadership. We start the month bright and early with Marana Mornings, sparking real conversations and connections. We celebrate growing networks at our 4th Tuesday mixers, hosted in exciting spaces. We unite visionaries and leaders at Impact Marana, driving meaningful progress together. We look ahead with Marana Insights, hearing directly from regional voices about what's next for our town. And we serve, through the passion of our board of directors and ambassadors, creating a culture of belonging through service and leadership. Because of our members, we're not just doing more, we're becoming more. Together, we're shaping the future of Marana. We are the Marana Chamber of Commerce.
Looking for a delicious meal or a place to cater your next event? Visit Tucson Tamale Market, located at 7286 North Oracle Road. They're a family-friendly restaurant and market offering authentic tamales and local products. Don't miss their summer bi-weekly specials. Try a new $10.99 meal special every couple weeks. Planning a special event? They've expanded their catering menu and are offering 15% off all catering orders through May 31st. Just use the code GRAD25 at checkout.
Shipping packages is a facet of modern commerce. At Tucson Pack and Ship, we work with major delivery companies to make sure your goods get where they need to go. In addition to shipping, we also offer private mailboxes, notary services, and document shredding. We'll also safely pack your valuable items. Tucson Pack and Ship, Tucson's one-stop packing and shipping source.
heat and air, we're in a state of disrepair.
It's July and we're celebrating Independence Day all month. Picture Rocks Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing wants to buy your old air conditioning unit. For the month of July, we will buy back your old AC unit for $1,776 with the purchase and installation of a new air conditioning system. Picture Rocks Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing, keeping you cool all summer long. Call us at 520-492-0748 or picturerockspooling.com.
Picture Rocks Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing.
Therapeutic Ranch for Animals and Kids is an inclusive community empowered and united by the strength of the human-animal bond.
It taught me responsibility. It taught me kindness and social interaction.
We have programs for every member of our community.
I love track because I have 2 daughters. We come out here and get all of our energy out.
Track is my home away from home.
You can make a donation or even become a monthly donor.
Thank you for supporting Track, Tucson's Ranch. We hope to see you here soon.
If you ever have water damage or mold, your only call should be to Steamy Concepts.
Yeah, but what if the insurance company says to hire someone else?
Nope, Steamy Concepts works for you and not them.
The internet has tons of options.
No way, you don't gamble with water damage.
But the handyman knows a different guy.
Absolutely not. No way, you just call Steamy Concepts today.
But some companies are cheaper.
And you get what you pay for. You don't want to mess with water damage wannabes.
We're calling Steamy Concepts today.
All right, we are back. We're talking with Reggie Geary. And after your playing days, then you moved on to coaching.
I did. Yep. I played 9 years. So I played 2 years in the NBA. Played a little bit minor league basketball in the CBA, and then ended up playing overseas. I played in France. I played in Israel.
Oh wow.
Portugal. I played in the Ukraine. And so, in all, almost about 9 years playing. And then, my last year I'm playing for BC Kiev, right? Living in Kiev, Ukraine with the 1.5-year-old, just had played in France for a couple of years.
Wow.
And I ended up tearing up my knee. And so, it was a meniscus tear in Greece. And so we get back to Ukraine. Now I have a young child. And when I left the university, I actually left a semester early. I decided I was the genius that said, I can't get ready for the NBA draft and graduate. I could have done both, but I thought I needed to focus on one or the other.
Sure.
So I left the school a year early, and so here I am now in Kiev. Torn meniscus. I got a 1.5-year-old, and I still have my college degree. So I started thinking like, all right, this might be a good time to come back, or at least start thinking about getting my degree and thinking about my second career.
Right.
And very fortunate. We'd always come back to Tucson that was our off-season home. Between here and maybe Huntington Beach, we would go between the two because that's where my wife's from. And so Tucson was always our off-season home, and I was always in the gym. Yeah. And then Dr. Hopkins, Gail Hopkins, a legendary, he's passed away since. He was, I think, U of A's first All-American, African-American descent.
Oh, wow.
He was an Olympian. He was just a fantastic man, just an icon. And he would always see me every summer and pull me in his office and tell me, Reg, you need to come here and finish your degree. The university's put this money aside for student athletes, and you need to take advantage. And so I think maybe 1 or 2 summers I kind of put them off, and then now here I am.
Right.
Just tore up my knee, and I'm back after that summer. Yeah. And so he pulls me aside, and I end up getting my degree. And
fantastic.
And so so I've always been very appreciative of him and the university for that. And so I'm now done playing, and even towards the end of my playing career, some of the coaches and people would say, "Man, you got a good basketball mind. You should think about going into coaching."
Okay.
And so I was kind of hearing this from the right people. You know, I had met Pete Newell. Pete Newell is kind of a legendary coach. He goes kind of back to the John Wooden days.
Right.
At Cal, and we had some mutual friends. And so he would invite me, and so he would, he was very nice to me. And Coach McKnight was saying, "Man, you should get into coaching." So I was hearing from all the right people about going into coaching, and I love basketball. Right. And so I came.
It's something that you've known all your life.
Yeah, for the most part. I was originally a baseball guy, but I loved basketball, and like I said, I'm kind of a student of the game, and it took to it. Yeah. And so now here I am. I'm thinking like, all right, let me get into my second career. Got into coaching. Coach Olson was actually my first job, and so he offered me. He said, "Hey, Reggie, get your degree. I'll make you an assistant." And so Rodney Tension was leaving at that time. Rodney was going to LMU as the head coach there, and so then I became part of the staff with Coach Olson. There was a little bit of a staff change that first year, so I ended up leaving and then going to the NBA Development League.
Okay.
I was assistant there for a short time and then became the youngest head coach in the D-League history after Anaheim had removed the head coach at the time. And so now here I am, the head coach of an NBA Development League team.
Right.
And back then, so now how it works is every NBA team has their own minor league team in the G League. But back then, you had to share. It's probably 2 or 3 teams.
Oh,
so
okay.
I'm part of the Anaheim Arsenal. Our 3 teams are LA Clippers, Orlando Magic, and Portland Trailblazers. So they're sending us players throughout the year, and we're communicating with them and kind of working with them. But it was a little bit different because once again, you have 3 different entities you're kind of working with, trying to take direction from that. So it was but incredible learning lab for me.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah,
I bet. And just communicating with all the different teams and seeing how everyone's working and talking with each other.
Yeah, these teams, these are professional organizations.
Yeah.
And so a lot of that, it's so interesting. A lot of the guys I was coaching against in the development league were future NBA head coaches. Dave Yeager was a longtime head coach.
Okay.
Nick Nurse was in the G League when I was there. Michael Cooper.
Wow. Okay.
I can go down the list. Joe Wolf. There was a number of coaches, and so to kind of already be there. Dennis Johnson was the coach of the Austin team. Got a chance to meet Dennis Johnson of the Boston Celtics.
Yeah.
Just an incredible, nice man.
Yeah.
And so it was here we are one step away. So that was a great experience to be there. Then I came back to the university. I did about 2 years in Anaheim, and then Coach Olson called me back. The Anaheim team at that point was privately owned, they're all privately owned at that time. Maybe the NBA is taking more ownership now, but I knew they were pivoting away. The ownership was, and so Coach Olson had called me and said, "Hey, there's an opportunity to come back." And I was like, "Okay, this might be the timing might be right."
Right.
And so I came back. Unfortunately, it was Coach's last year, but it was still a great year. We ended up going to Sweet 16.
Yeah.
It was myself, Russ Pennell. That was the year he took over as interim.
Okay.
Mike
Right.
Dunlap. We were the 3 assistants, and it was a great run. Chase Budinger and we had Chase and Jordan Hill, Nick Wise were our big 3, and it was just a fun ride that year. There was like no pressure off. It was unfortunate Coach had stepped away, so it was just like, man, let's just make the best of this. And I thought we did a really nice job that year. So,
right. Yeah.
and then I was with Coach a couple years. I was in Austin, Texas, coaching with Matt Doherty at SMU. I coached in Japan 6 years, and so played 9 years, coached for 14 years, and it was just kind of a natural progression the whole way through.
And what brought you back to Tucson?
Oh man, we just love Tucson. Yeah, Tucson's always been a warm place for me.
Okay.
From my very first day as a student athlete here, this community's kind of wrapped their arms around me and just always taking care of me. And we love the cost of living, we love the weather. I like to golf, and it just provided all those things. So when my wife and I, we like I say, we've lived, 7 different countries, over 12 years. We've really been all over the world. When we thought about where do we want to reside permanently, having even being from Southern California, we decided, what, Tucson's just the perfect location. Get to San Diego, you can get to California. It's just a great place for us, and with somewhere we want to raise our family. So very excited about that move, and it's panned out great.
Very good. Very good. Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming in today.
Yeah, Ron, this is awesome, man. We've been talking about this for a while, so it's great to sit down with you. So thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thank you. And we'd love to have you on again.
Okay, yeah, anytime.
All right. Sounds good. All right. That is another episode of Southwest Flavor. Join us every Tuesday and Thursday at 9 a.m. We'll see you on Thursday.